This piece of 2x6 construction lumber is one of the most important box making tools in my shop. And in this video, I'll show you how I use this to make perfect, strong, mitered corners for boxes and frames so easily you'll never cut regular bevels and miters again. Miter joints, such as you might find on the corners of boxes and frames, can provide a nice, clean appearance. But they're not terribly strong because the glue surface is often limited and there's no mechanical component to the joint, which means that glue alone is holding these corners together. And that glue is on entirely end grain, the strength of which seems to be endlessly debated these days. But if you ever want to see how strong a common miter joint is, just drop the box or frame on its corner and you'll know what I'm talking about. That's why I reinforce my corner joints with hidden splines. Splines are fantastic because they greatly increase the total glue area. They also introduce a lot of long grain to your end grain joint. And they add a mechanical component that will make your boxes and frames so much stronger. And the best part is splines remain hidden inside the joint, so you can still maintain that nice, clean look. Let me show you an easy way to accurately cut the slots for the splines. I'm going to use a router table, but the same principle can be applied to the table saw as well. I've already cut 45-degree bevels on the ends of my workpieces. If you need help with that step, I'll put a link below to a video full of tips for miters and bevels. I like to attach the two box sides back to back with some double-sided tape, being careful to line up the sharp edges on the mating bevels. Together, these mating 45-degree bevels create a 90-degree corner that fits against my fence and table. This means I won't have to worry about the sharp edge slipping beneath the fence as I make my cut. And it provides two reference surfaces, one on the table and one against the fence, and that helps me maintain the proper angle while the cut's being made. I align my router bit roughly in the center of the downward facing bevel and I lock the fence in place. The height of the bit doesn't matter as long as you don't cut all the way through. Now here's where this chunk of 2x6 comes in handy. I've cut a 45-degree bevel down one of the edges. Now I carefully align this parallel to my router fence. I just use my workpieces as spacers to do it. Clamps on the ends hold it in place. Now this gives me a guide to stabilize my workpiece during the cut. As you'll see, it makes a big difference. My workpieces in this case are wide enough that I have no problem keeping the bevels flat on the reference surfaces with the help of the jig as I move it through the cut. If my workpieces were narrower, such as for a frame instead of a box, they may want to tip sideways, and in that case I might make a push block to run behind them and help keep them standing up straight during the cut. Either way, keep your fingers away from the bit. Both workpieces may be slotted with the same setup by just rotating them 180 degrees and taking a second pass. Save this new bevel fence for the next time you need it. I suggest labeling it so it doesn't get used for something else. Now a word about the splines. For the greatest strength, the grain should not run parallel to the seam in the joint. It should run perpendicular to the slots. 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch plywood makes great splines because the grain direction alternates from layer to layer, making it relatively strong in any direction. Try out spline bevels for yourself. Your joints will thank you. See you next time. I've used a lot of featherboards over the years, but the Bow Feather Pro has really caught my attention. The fingers easily bend in the feed direction. That produces just the right amount of pressure for a smooth and even feed rate. But should something go wrong and the saw decides to kick that board back at you, the unique curved shape at the top of the fingers, combined with that living hinge at the base, produces a cam-like action that greatly increases the pressure and virtually locks the board in place. The manufacturer claims 5 times greater pull resistance than a standard featherboard, but I think it's more than that. It's really a unique design that honestly has changed my attitude about how useful featherboards actually are as anti-kickback devices. Maybe you should get just one of them so you can try it for yourself. I'm sure you're going to agree that it is the smoothest and potentially safest featherboard you've ever used. And they come from a small family business that's run by 2 brothers who came up with this great idea in their garage and they've built a business around it. I love supporting things like that. So I'll link to them below this video.